What family tradition did you discover was hiding something darker? Every year at Thanksgiving, my family would set an extra plate at the end of our table. It just sat there empty. No food, no one sitting there, nothing. When I was little and asked about it, my mom would just say, "It's for the one who's missing," and change the subject real quick. I always figured it was for some dead grandparent or something. You know how families get weird about that stuff. But by the time I was 19 and home from college, that empty plate started bugging me more and more. Like, who was missing? Why couldn't anyone just tell me? So I asked my grandma straight up. She got all uncomfortable and told me to stop poking around in things that didn't concern me. That just made me want to know even more. I went up to our attic and started going through old photo albums. Most of them were the usual boring family stuff, but then I found this one picture that made me freeze. It was from the early 90s, and there was this kid in it, maybe 13 years old. He looked exactly like my Uncle Tim, but I'd never seen this kid before in my life. I brought the photo down to my mom. The second she saw it, she went pale and started freaking out. "We don't talk about Kyle, just drop it, okay?" But I wasn't gonna drop it. I drove to the county records office the next day and searched our family name. After digging through old newspaper archives, I found what I was looking for. There was this article from November 1993 about a missing kid named Kyle Watson, my mom's cousin. The article said he'd disappeared during a Thanksgiving dinner at my grandparents' house. According to the family, Kyle had gotten into a huge fight with his older brother and stormed out. They told police he just ran off and never came back. But what made my blood go cold was this one line buried in the article. It said neighbors reported hearing screaming from the woods behind the house that night. Not arguing, screaming. I had to see those woods for myself. I drove to my grandparents' old place, which my Uncle Tim inherited after they died. The house was still there, but the woods behind it were mostly cleared now. I walked around for like an hour but didn't find anything. But then I started talking to some of the older neighbors who still lived there. This one lady, Mrs. Chen, told me she remembered that night. She said there was this awful smell that hung around for days after Kyle disappeared, like something had died back there. Another neighbor said he remembered my uncle and grandfather having this huge bonfire going that night, even though it was raining. That's when everything clicked. I went back home and waited for our family dinner. When everyone was sitting around the table, I brought up Kyle's name. You could have heard a pin drop. My Uncle Tim went ballistic, started screaming at me, asking why I couldn't just leave things alone. Slammed his hands on the table so hard the plates jumped. My mom was begging me to stop asking questions, but I kept pushing. I told them about the newspaper article, about what the neighbors said, about the bonfire. My uncle's face went white as a sheet. That night I couldn't sleep, so I crept downstairs to get some water. I could hear my mom and uncle arguing in the kitchen. I hid behind the door and listened. My uncle was saying stuff like, "If she keeps digging, she's gonna ruin everything. You think I wanted to do that to Kyle? You think I had a choice?" He was gonna tell everyone what really happened that summer. My mom was crying, saying, "Maybe we should just tell her the truth." And my uncle said, "The truth? The truth is that little shit got what was coming to him. And if she doesn't shut up, she might get the same." I ran back upstairs and locked my door. I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, when I came down for breakfast, the extra plate was gone. Just gone. The table looked normal for the first time in my entire life. My mom announced that we weren't doing Thanksgiving anymore.